Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a massive headache that businesses have wrestled with literally for centuries. We're going to take the incredibly abstract, squishy concept of consumer value and decode it into a rigorous, data-backed blueprint. If you've ever found yourself wondering why a customer chooses one brand over another when everything else seems exactly the same, well, you're in the right place.
So let's establish the core problem businesses face every single day. When someone looks at your product, they're weighing its perceived value against your asking price, right? Now, managing the price part, that's just easy math. You're tweaking a small set of numbers using analytics, making tactical adjustments, but figuring out what consumers truly value, that is infinitely harder. Value is this messy, psychologically complicated beast that's notoriously difficult to actually pin down.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit the value equation, look at Maslow for consumers, unpack the 30 elements, prove out the ROI, and finally put those elements to work.
Let's jump right into section 1, the value equation.
There is a massive blind spot in how we traditionally measure demand. You see, tools like discrete choice analysis are great, but they only test consumer reactions to preconceived concepts. Basically, they only test the things managers already know to ask about. They absolutely do not help you anticipate what else people might find valuable. To invent entirely new concepts of value, we actually need a universal framework.
Moving on to Section 2, Maslow for Consumers.
You probably remember Abraham Maslow's famous 1943 hierarchy of needs from Psych 101, right? The idea that human actions are driven by this innate desire to fulfill needs, starting from basic stuff like security and food, all the way up to complex psychological goals like self-actualization. Well, we're taking that exact battle-tested psychological theory and mapping it directly onto modern consumer behavior.
Which brings us to the core of this whole thing, Section 3, the 30 elements.
This is the brilliant aha moment of the entire framework. Researchers at Bain & Company ran scores of quantitative and qualitative customer studies, did thousands of interviews, and managed to identify 30 fundamental attributes of value in their most essential forms. Then they organized them into a heuristic pyramid. This isn't just academic theory. It's a literal map of what makes people pull out their wallets.
The structure here is absolutely crucial. It's broken down into 4 distinct tiers. Down at the base, we have the functional elements, things like saves time or simplifies. Moving up, we hit emotional elements, like reduces anxiety. Above that are life-changing elements, like motivation. And sitting at the very top is social impact, specifically self-transcendence. Now, the golden rule here is that you must provide at least some functional elements at the base before you can ever hope to deliver those higher-order emotional elements. I mean, think about it. You can't change someone's life if your product is glitchy or doesn't even work properly.
It's fascinating when you look at how this plays out in the real world. It's never just about what the physical product does. It's about the psychological itch it scratches. Fitbit doesn't just track steps. It hits that life-changing element of motivation. A $10,000 Leica camera isn't just a lens. It delivers self-actualization and pride. The Container Store thrives heavily on the functional element of organizes. And Tom's shoes? By giving away a pair for every pair bought, they tap into the absolute peak of the pyramid, self-transcendence.
Okay, let's get into the hard numbers. Section 4, the ROI of value.
So, does all this psychological theory actually move the needle? The data from over 10,000 US consumers is shockingly clear. Companies that score highly on 4 or more elements of value, meaning they get an 8 or above from at least half of the respondents, have, on average, 3 times the customer loyalty or net promoter score of companies with just 1 high score. Apple, by the way, hits an insane 11 elements.
But get this, it actually gets crazier. Those same companies that master 4 or more elements have 20 times the customer advocacy of companies with 0 high scores. 20 times. More is definitively better here. Delivering multiple layers of value is what turns a casual buyer into a fierce, vocal brand advocate.
And that fierce loyalty, it translates directly to the bottom line. The companies hitting 4 or more elements don't just win on sentiment. They are literally growing their revenue 4 times faster than companies with only 1 high score. Mastering these elements isn't just a fun marketing exercise. It's a fundamental engine for sustained revenue growth.
Now, some nuance. You do not need all 30 elements. Across every single industry studied, perceived quality is universally the baseline. If your quality falls short, no other element is going to save you. But after quality, the winning formula shifts drastically depending on your industry. In consumer banking, it's about providing access and heirloom, making it a good investment for future generations. For smartphones, people want you to reduce effort. In apparel, avoiding hassles is the big one. You really have to know the specific battlefield of your industry.
Finally, Section 5, putting the elements to work.
Now that we've seen the sheer power of layering these elements, let's talk execution. The data here directly debunks the myth that digital is completely killing physical stores. Digital pure plays absolutely dominate on functional elements. They are masters at saves time and avoids hassles. Just look at a company like Zappos. But omnichannel retailers, they survive and actually thrive because they win heavily on the emotional and life-changing elements that digital struggles to replicate, things like badge value, attractiveness, and affiliation and belonging. That fusion of digital convenience and physical emotional connection is proving to be incredibly powerful.
Amazon Prime is practically a masterclass in this framework. They methodically added entirely new elements over time. Think back, they started functionally, right? Focusing purely on reduces cost and saves time with that flat fee 2-day shipping. Then they layered on emotional elements with streaming media for fun and entertainment. Then unlimited photo storage to hit reduces risk. Each new addition brought in a new cohort of customers and, crucially, allowed them to justify massive price increases without sparking a mass exodus.
But you don't have to be Amazon to pull this off. Lots of companies do this through structured listening, finding the exact right elements to add without totally overhauling their core business. Vanguard just added a partly automated advice platform to hit informs and reduces risk. A retail bank noticed their customers were stressed living paycheck to paycheck, so they designed accounts specifically around reduces anxiety through automatic savings. Software provider Acronis leaned hard into provides access by shifting to cloud backup. It's all about strategic additions.
So to start using this blueprint in your own organization, you need to build discipline in 3 key areas. First, new product development. Use these 30 elements as a sort of brainstorming cheat code for what features to build next. Second, pricing. Remember that whenever you hike prices, you are messing with the value equation, so you absolutely must add new elements to justify it. And third, customer segmentation. Analyze what specific behavioral groups value from the pyramid and build customized offerings just for them.
Ultimately, the concept of consumer value doesn't have to be this mysterious, amorphous guessing game anymore. It's a structured science. Assuming you've already nailed quality as your baseline, take a really hard look at that pyramid. Because if you only rely on asking customers what they want, you're going to stay stuck in their blind spots. So which new psychological building blocks are you going to proactively use to engineer your next massive phase of growth?